Hi guys, and good evening, and welcome back once again to the EdWord, where in today's video I thought I'd show you a compilation of photos I took when me and my friends recently went to Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights in Los Angeles, California, and it was awesome. I have done it myself over many years now, but this was my first time taking so many photos and now sharing it with all of you. So I do want to apologize in advance. Some photos aren't as good as others in terms of quality or blurriness. The blurrier ones are the ones I took while moving pretty fast through the mazes, and the other photos turned out pretty well as they were photos taken in between attractions and mazes that my friends and I did. So I do apologize in advance for some of the quality of some of the photos, but I went through all of them and most of them turned out pretty good. And of course I will be explaining and narrating what exactly everything is. So here's the front gate where we first walked in after we picked up our tickets. If you go to this event, I strongly recommend Universal Express. It's the front of the line pass, highly recommended. And here's an awesome poster that immediately took my notice of the new upcoming horror movie Halloween Kills, which looks awesome, scary, and exciting. And I loved this poster and the one that's about to come after it because they just both caught my eye. And I'm super excited for this movie, and I absolutely cannot wait when it hits theaters next month. Yep, and here's the next one. We got Michael Myers in his nasty, gnarly, burnt mask from the end of the first film, or Halloween 2018. So, yeah, this was a great way to get us all in the mood for Halloween Horror Nights, because it was certainly a fun night of horror scares and laughter. So yeah, I love seeing stuff like this. And on to our first maze. We did the Exorcist maze in the lower lot, and it was great. They have had the Exorcist maze before, and unfortunately, because we had to move kind of fast throughout the maze, I could only get a few shots of the quote-unquote house before we walked inside, and it was great. It was a great way to kick off the evening. Very scary, excellent practical effects, really impressive. And here's another blurrier shot that we got as we got closer to the front of the entrance. Even though we had front of the line passes, sometimes there's still a little bit of a wait, but nowhere near as long as a wait as a general admission line. So this is one of those instances of a blurry photo, and for that I am sorry, but we were moving quite along, so that's probably why you're seeing it the way it is. And afterwards, my friends and I stopped for a drink at this outdoor rooftop bar on top of the Jurassic World ride and restaurant, and they had a bar set up there, so we caught our breath and had some drinks. They were playing this amazing dubstep remix with dubstep and dinosaur roars from the Jurassic Park franchise, which was awesome. And here's some great shots of that rooftop bar I was telling you about. Down below there are people coming off the escalators. The Mummy ride is off to the left-hand side. To the right, you can't really see it, but it's the waterfall part of the Jurassic World ride. And this is the whole lower lot of the park. And normally it's just Transformers, Mummy, and Jurassic Park down there, but they had the two mazes, the Exorcist maze and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre maze down there, along with this funny barbecue Texas Chainsaw themed restaurant, which will be coming up here. There's the awesome sign for the Jurassic World ride. Right underneath that is a waterfall. And here is the Texas Chainsaw themed barbecue food stop. I didn't get any food from there, but it sure smelled delicious, and it was just cracking me up of how much it looked like the gas station from the original 1974 film. I mean, spot on for detail. And here, of course, is the infamous Bates house that's adjacent to the Bates Motel, also in the lower lot. We walked right past that while going through a maze. And here was one of our next mazes, which was one of the highlights of the evening for me because I absolutely loved this show. The Haunting of Hill House maze was excellent. It had the scariest ghosts and the scariest moments from the series in the maze, and I was absolutely delighted and pleased and above all scared with what we saw and witnessed. And then this was the number one favorite maze amongst me and my friends, the Bride of Frankenstein maze. This was fantastic. It featured the Bride of Frankenstein, the monster, and scary looking female vampires that the Bride of Frankenstein was holding off while trying to bring the monster back to life. And it was a fantastic, beautifully designed, and above all, super scary maze. And my friends and I all agreed this was the best maze of the whole experience. We liked them all, but this one was easily our favorite. it, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. There's some beautiful art for this maze right outside. And right after we exited the Bride of Frankenstein maze, there was this guy dressed up as the monster walking around on stilts. He was moving around so much, it was quite difficult to get a decent or good shot of him, so here's his back towards me, but you're about to see a good side profile shot of him as the next photo comes up. There it is. He's wearing a pretty gnarly Frankenstein monster mask, and it looks awesome. And he walked past us quite closely a couple times, which was hilarious. And there were a couple other scare actors dressed up as Universal monsters as well. I believe the scare zone was actually themed to female versions of the Universal monsters. So we had the Bride of Frankenstein. There was a female werewolf, as this terribly blurry picture shows you. And then there's a better photo coming up of a Naxunamen, or the female mummy, which was also a very cool costume. And she was quite photogenic as well. And she was very interactive. It was awesome. She was both scaring and making us laugh with how into character she was. It was a wonderful little scare zone right outside of the Bride of Frankenstein. So it was excellent. This was definitely another big highlight for me and my friends as the evening went along. And this was actually one of the last mazes we did. And this was the final maze we did. Right here is the Halloween 4, the Return of Michael Myers maze. And they did this maze a couple years ago for the first time, and it was quite good and quite scary. And this year, it was still pretty damn good and pretty damn scary. Here we are standing outside of the maze entrance, waiting to go inside. And to the left-hand side there, where you see those windows, it's actually a TV screen or just some kind of screen in general. And they have this silhouette action occur where we see this poor mechanic get brutally murdered by Michael Myers when he's all bandaged up and he's just escaped the ambulance, and he's just beating the hell out of this guy, and it's all just on a TV screen on a loop, and there's sound effects to go with it. There's stabbing and impaling sound effects, the guy groaning and screaming as Michael murders him, and of course the Halloween theme music is playing all the while this is happening. And then once he's done, it's as if Michael's silhouette looks at you while you're standing in line and does his classic Michael Myers head tilt, kind of wondering what you're looking at and admiring his own murderous handiwork. And here inside, this was one of the few decent shots I could get while in the Halloween 4 maze. It says, "Welcome to Haddonfield," with clearly the word hell spray painted in red over it. And of course, as we left, I got some great shots right outside the gift shop of the concept art used for this year's Horror Nights, featuring all of the, of course, before mentioned mazes and some of the character standouts that were featured in all of their respective franchises mazes. And it was fantastic. Just beautiful artwork. And overall, a fantastic fun night well spent with friends who enjoy doing this kind of stuff. And I'm really grateful that I've got friends like this who love doing these kind of events along with me. It makes it all the more special. And I highly recommend any and all of you, if you live in LA, or if you're ever in LA around this time of year, to check this event out. And like I said, make sure you get the front of line pass.